6:09 in the morning. Welcome back, everybody. It's October 22nd, 2023. Yesterday morning, I forgot to mention in this video that I woke up seeing two green fireballs, meteorites that left a green sparkly trail, which lingered for maybe a few fractions of a second, but just long enough to know that it was definitely what I saw. It wasn't just like a flash and then it was gone. And then this morning, for about an hour, you'll probably have heard some of that just before this clip started, but we got to hear the coyotes, which there were quite a few, and it sounded like quite a few of them were right here on this fringe. So, and the more impressive thing is that these canyon walls right here specifically seem to not only reverberate or echo the sounds of the coyotes, but for some reason it sounded like there was a whole other voice coming from up there at the same time. Hopefully you can make that out on the video, on the audio clip that's on the video, but in order to have actually experienced it, you had to be here. It's kind of like one time I stayed at Boot Canyon, the fourth site, Boot Canyon 4, and the thunder that was happening around there was almost like channeled into the canyon and then kind of reverberated out with even more ferocity. Anyhow, I better get to the run before the sun really starts kicking in the afternoon heat, which hopefully won't be an issue. But I suppose that in exchange for all of those beautiful coyote sounds in the morning, the sunrise that we're going to get isn't going to be as impressive. However, I'm going to let you check it out and see what happens in the meantime. Catch you in a few. This time I went a different route. I went down Pine Canyon towards Glen Spring, which is about somewhere around a quarter mile. And I kept running down towards where Glen Spring intersects the main park road. And at a half mile, I turned back. The entire distance down is downhill. The entire distance back up is uphill. And it measures that on the elevation tracking portion of this watch. My VO2 max is still 32, which is pretty low. And I climbed 2,950 feet, which is more than yesterday. And I completed my mile in 14 minutes and 6 seconds, which is definitely faster than yesterday. And then the coyotes started yapping again. I try to tell you how I feel, and your response to me is unreal. And do you hear me anyway? The things you think are alright, I'm sure they help you sleep well at night. But when you wake, was it a dream or a nightmare? So on today's run, I noticed some clues on the road that confirmed that one of these coyotes was right next to my campground. So I'm not sure if you can tell, but I've pretty much broken another sweat. I have an unusual system where once I heat up, it takes me a while to cool off. And so for that reason, I've been trying to complete my runs early. And then I'll do an entire cool down so that I can begin recovering with my subsequent duties, whether it be exercising or writing songs or just enjoying the wildlife and trying to point out certain things. Now, in one of my prior clips, I talked about how it was unusual to hear some of the sounds of the desert here anymore. And I'll go so far as to say that still rings true. But last night, or this morning, or both actually, when I heard the coyotes sounded like they were all on this side of the desert behind me, with one of them making its way down this road when it finally decided to join in on the cacophony of voices. But every voice, whether it was far out in the desert or right on this road, reverberated from this canyon wall right behind me. And it almost sounded like there was something in there that was responding. So right now, I have the remarkable luck of receiving rainfall in the desert. God, it smells beautiful. So we're in luck. I found a car part on the side of the road, and I'd brought some water, hoping that there would be a rock with a divot on top so I could pour some water into it. I'm sure the birds and some of the animals are thirsty. I'm not really feeding anything. I'm just putting water in a place where it can stay for a while. Plus, look, it rained. How cool. So if you ever put a water feature out, you always want to make sure that it has a way for the critters to climb out safely. Birds and animals can figure out usually that watering hole might not be escapable, or that it could be dangerous, but insects might not know the difference. So I put a lot of different little escape options for any of the critters that might be curious enough to look at this standing water that's here. Although it is raining, it's drizzling a little bit, and so I think that everything that's out here is at least somewhat acclimated to the conditions, but that doesn't mean that there aren't thirsty critters out here. So you know, if anyone's watching to find a way to disavow any of the information that I'm providing, don't forget, if I saw you crossing the desert right now and you were thirsty, I would do everything I could to give you something to drink. Thought I'd ride for Jesus, or maybe just for God. I wonder if they all see us, or if they all forgot. My dog looks up from his napping. I see the love in his eyes, while they play songs for the clapping. I write these songs for you guys. I wonder if he could hear us, if we said less than before, and if we fell into silence, would he come knock on the door? My dog looks up from his napping. I see the love in his eyes, while they play songs for the clapping. I write these songs for you guys. I don't wanna be left behind. Would you please bring me along tonight in case I wonder if he'd speak with us, if only we'd understand. I look over, I see Jesus. I go to hold his hand. My dog looks up from his napping. I see the love in his eyes, while they play songs for the clapping. I write these songs for you guys. I don't wanna be left behind, won't you please bring me along tonight in case I die. In case I die.